See, that's the way I like it. Got my smoking dog on the side, ready to start barbecuing. Are you ready for this? Because I got something good coming. Before I start telling you what we're going to do, we're going to fire up our two Kamado Joes. I got the Kamado Joe Classic over here, ready to rock and roll. And I got the Big Joe standing by. All we need to do is put charcoal in them and light them up. While the KJs are getting up to temperature, we are going to prepare for our experiment. We're doing a side-by-side comparison. I want to find out what is the best way to get a crispy skin on your porchetta. Porchetta! This is our meat for our porchetta. Look at that beautiful pork belly, and then the loin is still on, and as well, we got the skin on. This is material for porchettas. Porchetta really means two things: roasted pork and a lot of flavor. So we need as much surface on which we can put flavor as humanly possible. Now we've got this, but we will need to maximize it. That's why we're going to cut it open. We're going to slice into our loin, and this is how we maximize our surface. Look at that. We just increase it by at least 20%, which means 20% more flavor. Now that our meat is prepared, because this is all we need to do, it's time to build up the flavor. We're going to set our pork aside and we're going to work on our main flavor ingredient, fennel. That's right, fennel is the typical flavor of porchetta. If there's no fennel in the porchetta, it won't taste like porchetta. In the Netherlands, porchetta is well known for being put on sandwich. It looks like a ham when it comes out of a package here. But if you go to an Italian market, it's a big roast with crispy skin on the outside. But let me show you what in the Netherlands passes as porchetta. You see, this is what we call porchetta in the supermarkets. And it even says excellent, but this is not even close to excellent. You see how thin it is sliced like ham, and you can see that there are some herbs in there, but this is not even close to what I mean. Granted, there's fennel in there, but it just tastes like ham. You should take a bite, Morrison. There you go.
It's smoked ham.
It's just ham.
Yeah.
It's ham with fennel. That's it. That's what it is. So let's start working on our flavor ingredients. We're going to chop the heart out of the fennel. That's what we don't need, and all of the top we can use. Take off the outside scale. Smell this, Morrison. This smells so amazing.
Whoa.
That's kind of cool, right? All right, there we go. That should do the job. On to the next ingredient. That's right, it's garlic. We're gonna need about 5 cloves for a large cut like this. Next, we're gonna chop fine 3 shallots. We're also gonna add some oregano. We're going to pluck the leaves from the stalks and we're going to chop them fine. We are going to do the same for rosemary. Now if you want to replicate this, we've got 2 kilograms of porchetta meat. Then we have 1/4 part of a fennel, 5 cloves of garlic, 3 shallots, 8 twigs of oregano and 3 twigs of rosemary. Now we're going to mix this all up into a big bowl of flavor. This is going to be super, super tasty. We'll take our porchetta, open it up. Look at that beauty. Ready to take on the flavor. So we'll sprinkle on our herbs, all of that flavor straight onto the meat. To freshen up the flavor profile, we're going to put on lemon zest. This is what we're going to put on straight onto the meat because I don't want to aim for the amount, I want to aim for color. And to top it all off, some fresh ground black pepper and a lot of salt. I'm using Madon salt and it will spread out beautifully throughout our porchetta. And at the same time, it will go into the meat like a brine and take with it all of the flavor of the herbs that we just put on it. Let's wrap this thing up and tie it together. A little bit of force to it. Yeah, it's a big piggy. So what we're going to need is a loop in our rope. Put it underneath and then tie it together. We'll keep on wrapping around our bushes twine until we end up with a beautiful tied up porchetta. So this is where we get to the experiment part. We're going to slice it in half and we're going to put it on the barbecue. One half is going to be on a barbecue that we set to 250 degrees Celsius. Morrison, it's raining every freaking single time. It's the Netherlands, baby. It's the Netherlands. Ah, And just like that, the sun started shining again. So let's continue. We're going to cut this in half. Listen to that pork skin. Wow. This is our porchetta. Look at that beauty. One part is going to go in a barbecue that's set to 250 degrees Celsius. The other one is going to be put in a barbecue that's set to 140 degrees Celsius. Now what we want to find out is, what do we need to do first? First, go slow, let it come up to temperature, and then finish it off with a hot sear to get that ultimate crisp. Or first get the crisp, then go to a lower temperature to finish it off. We got the junior set up to 250, check that out. Let's open it up. We set it up with a tray and a rack, and now we're gonna put our porchetta on. Wow, listen to that. Now I wanna keep my eye on it. I wanna check in on it every 10 minutes or so, just to make sure it crispens up and it doesn't burn. So let's close the lid and check again in 10 minutes. This is our Big Joe. We set it up in the same way, except for the temperature, 140, starting slow, and in the end, crispening up. In goes our porchetta, nice and easy. Our high temperature porchetta is starting to crispen up nicely. We're getting that golden brown skin and that crisp on it. At the same time, we can see that the fat is starting to burn and it will produce an ugly smoke. So we're going to add some water to catch the fat in and make sure it doesn't burn and produce hideous flavors on our meat. As you can see, our low temperature porchetta, it's not crispening up at all. It's just slowly coming up to temperature and becoming more and more cooked, but not crispy. I've been working on this porchetta now for quite a while, but as you can see, it darkened up a lot. With this high temperature and with the water in, it still became dark and we still got dark brown edges. Of course, the skin is crispy, but at what price? We got almost a blackened outside. This is not what I'm looking for. Let's see if we can do better on the porchetta that we have running at a low temperature. Check that out. The color is way better. The skin is not crispy yet, but we have some good dry spots. Look at that, the skin on top here. It's getting pretty dry. So this is a good start. Now we're going to raise the temperature on our low temperature porchetta, and we're going to lower the temperature on our high temperature porchetta so we can cook it to 65 degrees Celsius core temperature. We're at 62 degrees Celsius, so only 3 more degrees to go and we're ready to eat it. Basically, we need to just cool it down, let it slowly get that last 3 degrees of temperature, and then we're going to take it off, let it rest. Now this one, I imagine, yeah, you can see it. That's a different story. That's 46 degrees Celsius. We need to raise that up quite a bit, but I can imagine that once we raise that temperature and we're looking for that crispy skin, the core temperature will go up as well. So we're in a safe spot. Let's close the lid, open up the bottom vent, open up the top vent, and let her get up the temperature. All right, time to take our porchetta off, our porchetta. There we go. It's fully cooked now. Look at this beast. We're just gonna tap it with our thermometer. That's definitely crunchy. Look at that. Can you hit it, Martian? It's like blowing my mind crunchy. We gotta let it rest though. We gotta make sure that our muscles relax in our pork. So we're just gonna give it a little time. In the meantime, we're gonna check on the other porchetta, the low temperature porchetta. We raised it up now to 250 degrees Celsius and it's running, it's racing. I put water in the bowl underneath just to make sure that the greases doesn't burn. And as you can hear, it's starting to crispen up as well. Not as crispy yet as our high temperature porchetta, but slowly we're getting there. Let's check on the core thermometer to see how far along we are. 55 degrees Celsius. We need 10 more degrees Celsius for it to be done. And by that time, hopefully we have that beautiful golden outside crust. It's getting darker and darker much earlier, Martian. I think we should have put up a light. How about that, Martian? That better? A little bit of light. Oh, getting closer. 6 more degrees and we're ready to go. I'm getting hungry. And the second one is done. Look at the difference. Just mind-blowing. Let's just check this out. It's actually the dog eating charcoal again. Come, up. No, 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 no. Not the video lights. No, 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 no. Back to the story. We got a high temperature pork roast, super crispy. And we got a low temperature pork roast, super crispy as well. But I bet you guys can see the difference. Look at this. It's completely dark. Of course, that's just the outside. We can cut that off. But it tells us a little bit what that high temperature does in the beginning to get that crispy pork skin. It takes a lot of energy to get it to the point where we get crispy skin. And that's why the outside is also a little bit burned. Now you can cover it with tin foil. There's other ways to make sure that the outside don't burn. But basically a lot of energy has gone into it. We not quite know for sure if this is a bad option. We will only know once we slice into it. But so far, going with a low temperature first seems to be the smart option. Let's slice into it and find out if that's exactly the case or if the inside is different. First, into our hot one. We got so much crunch. What secrets will we uncover? Look at this. Whoa. And you can see that the skin crispened up so much. It became so much thicker. Look at that. That's all crunch. Let me get a piece of that. Oh, that's what I call porchetta. And now the flavors. Let's see how good this is. I love porchetta. Wow, our porchetta looks beautiful. I want to find out right now if our porchetta, which we did slow first at a low temperature, if it's better than this one. How can it be better than this?
Why are you whispering?
Because it's dark, I don't know.
Nobody lives here.
Eva's sleeping. All right, Marcel, before we move on, let me give you a little bit of this beautiful porchetta. So you personally can compare it to the porchetta that, well, was store-bought at the supermarket.
This is something else. This is way different than...
Yeah, it's nothing compared to, it's not even close
No, it's
to
like...
being the same thing.
It's almost as different as comparing chicken with beef, because it doesn't make sense.
The one is hand that we buy in the supermarket, and this is the real porchetta. This is the stuff that you want to be eating. And this is the stuff that you can make at home at your barbecue. And it's as easy as this. Now let's move on to the next part. This is a juice fest. Look at it. It just keeps streaming and running and running. How's that even possible? Where's all the juice coming from? We can definitely already see this is way more juicy than the one that we started off with a high temperature, but look here. We got a beautiful crusty crunch on the top, but at the bottom, look, no crunchy crust at all. It's actually a little bit soggy. So this is what we learned from going slow first. The skin doesn't completely crust up directly. There's a trade-off with going at a high temperature, and there's a trade-off with going with a low temperature first. So which are you going to pick? Either a soggy skin underneath or a little bit dry end result. You need to try this one as well, Marcel, as do I, of course, but there you go.
What, me first?
Yeah.
I think the other one had more flavor.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's weird.
How's that possible?
I don't know.
The texture of this one is amazing. The crust is amazing as well.
Yeah.
Right?
So the low temperature has more a crunchier crust in the end on top, not on the bottom, but on top. It's juicier, but it somehow, it doesn't have the flavor that the one that we roasted on high temperature does. It's like we forgot to season it, but it's the same piece. I don't understand. This is exactly the same cuts, and the one that we roasted at high temperature has a lot more flavor compared to the one that we roasted at a low temperature. How's that even possible? I don't understand. If you do, please let us know. I want to say a big thank you to all of our YouTube members and our patrons. You guys freaking rock. If you want to have me take a decision on which one I like best, I'm gonna go for the high temperature one because it had more flavor and I like the flavor better. Let me let you in on a little secret. You know what I'm gonna do tomorrow for lunch? I'm gonna rebake this and I'm gonna put it on a sandwich and it's gonna taste crazy delicious. What?
Aren't you forgetting something?
I'm waiting for you to say it.
Oh, okay. Eet smakelijk en keep on grilling.
Bye bye.